Sounds like something someone would say, after after someone makes a move on a date and gets rejected, and then the person says, "Okay, never mind." By the way, I love taking it from there. It's actually thematic to the theme today, which is all about the here and now. Um, I love getting if you haven't noticed, if you listen to my podcast, I always take it from there, meaning try to start with, what is present. When you truly arrive in the here and now, your nervous system exhales. Your brain slows its frantic loop. Default mode network quiets, cortisol dips, the fog lifts. Suddenly, life stops being a rerun of the past or a rehearsal of the future and starts becoming what it is, the unfolding. The state rewires your brain, literally. New neural pathways form around awareness instead of anxiety, around gratitude instead of grasping. You begin responding instead of reacting. Your choices become conscious. You start to choose your life instead of chasing it. So this sentence really resonates with me. Spent most of my life chasing instead of choosing. Spent most of my life chasing instead of attracting. And I've never put effort in the here and now. I never practiced presence. It was always about the plan, right? Never about the presence. And in this stillness, which is actually, I think, at the very top of my list as far as what I'm working on, stillness, the universe has something to work with. Now, this is really interesting. I love this idea that when you're still, you are then channeling. When you are still, you are a conduit. When you are still, you become a sharper radar, and now the universe will meet you there. Right now, the universe has something to work with. And when you are in fight or flight, freeze, chaos, when you are numbing, running, hiding, disconnected from self, you're slippery. The universe has nothing to work with because you're no longer manifesting from fear, lack, or frenzy. When you are still, you're pulling from wholeness. You're not begging for more, you're vibrating as enough. Think about that. You're vibrating as enough. And I think so many people struggle getting there because of our stories. I mean, how many people you do you know, including yourself, who believe that they're enough? A lot has to happen. a lot of journeys have to happen for just because of the world we live in for us to believe honestly that we are enough. And I gotta say, at 52, I think I'm starting to get there. You know, you're not begging for more; you're vibrating as enough. I think also when you really believe you are enough, your vibration, your frequency is a lot higher. And it makes sense, right? Because if you believe that you're not enough, then you're going to fill that not enoughness with other things that are external. So whether that is a relationship or things, and by doing so, you will never feel enough. And if you don't feel enough, the universe has less to work with. But if you get to a place where you are vibrating on that level, and I know that people dip, I know that it is not only a practice, but there's an ebb and flow to it, right? It's not a light switch. And just because you did amazing work or a lot of work on yourself doesn't mean that growth isn't cumulative. It doesn't mean that every day is going to be you vibrating on some high frequency. I don't think that's possible, because we're human. We snap back, and that's all part of it, and it's okay. But if you do vibrate as enough, you being enough, um, what you attract shifts, people, opportunities, alignment, and not because of magic or some woo woo shit, but because you changed your frequency by changing your presence. Here and now is not a place you visit, It's a doorway to the life you say you want. And every time you return to it, you're not escaping the world, you're shaping it. Oh, man. Every time you return to the here and now, every time you get out of your head, every time you stop playing the past or dwell on the future, you are shaping your life. Think about that. And also think about how many times or how many minutes, how much of your day are you in the here and now? I would say for most people, very little, right? From the time the alarm goes off and we are rushing to work, sitting in traffic, we are either consuming, whether it's a podcast or music, or we're consuming something to make us feel, and that isn't always a bad thing, right? Music's amazing. Podcasts are amazing, right? We're feeding our need to our intellectual need slash entertainment need, whatever that need is. Um, and those aren't bad things, but we do a lot of that. We're scrolling, checking DMs, all of that, and then we get to work, and now we're working. So now logic's kicking in. There's tasks, there's emails, there's strategy, board meetings, all this stuff. And while we're doing this, we're also thinking about shit in the past, right? We're thinking about what just happened last night in our relationship. We're thinking about the friend that didn't call us back. We're thinking about all of that. And then we're thinking about the future. Where is this job leading to? Who am I going to be? We're thinking about goals, right? And we're trying to do better. We're logging our food in apps. We're trying to meditate. We're trying to get our fitness in. We're trying to drink more water. All of this is happening. And then we get home and we're tired and we're thinking about dinner. And if you have kids, that's a whole nother a whole nother thing, right? Of responsibilities. And then we do some bedtime. We read a couple books to our children or child. And then what do we have left? An hour or 30 minutes? And usually we spend that with our partner. And if you're single, maybe you give yourself, I don't know, some time, half an hour, and then you got to get to bed because you got to get up early. Because if you want to be responsible, you're up earlier than when you work, so you could get in your fitness or your journaling or whatever. Um, and that's it. Then we're off. Then the next day comes, and there's very little time to be present. So what you have to do is, because it's hard to change our days, right? We got bills to pay, we got mouths to feed, we got taxes, right? So like we have to thread in the practice of being present into our day. And this is, I think, what's challenging. Not everyone can skip out of work to go to a meditation class, right? Not everyone can work from home and design a schedule that works for them. Not everyone can create a space to be present. So you got to get it in when you can. You got to thread it into your life. I remember when I was at one of the lowest points in my life in a job I hated. And it was a job where I would have to write my name to check out if I had to go to the bathroom. Like if I had to pee or take a shit, I had to sign out. That's it tells you what kind of bosses I had, right? Um, they ran that shit like with an iron fist. It was horrible. Also shady. Shady Horrors is a treatment center. And I remember locking myself in a bathroom stall because it was the only place where no one could bother me. And I remember just taking 10 minutes to get out of my head, and I would just meditate. And I would also pray. And I also would make promises to myself. I would say I will never be in this space again, in a shitty job, underpaid, tucking my shirt in, working in a way that wasn't honest to me. And my escape to the restroom was the highlight of that job. Like that's where I could breathe. Um, and I said, I'm never going to be here again. And of course, lots of tears, lots of crying, lots of head against the bathroom stall, wondering what I was going to do with my life, that kind of thing. Um, but that's how I created my space, you know. And if you're at work and you need to go into your car or go for a walk, take it. So, uh, however you thread that into your life, you know, here's another example. Dishes. So I do a lot of dishes because they're always piling up. And when I do the dishes, I don't sit there and begrudgingly wash dishes, um, pouty. I actually try to turn my dial from it being a chore to it being an opportunity to be present. So, like, getting really mindful. There's something about cleaning the dishes that I like. Now, I hate doing laundry, but dishes, I actually enjoy it. It's kind of therapeutic. Um, Feeling the warm water, noticing the soap, you know, using all your senses to be present, and almost kind of like using that activity to meditate, to be in the here and now, to not think about things that you were thinking about all day. So I'm using that as an example because it's such a simple thing you can do daily, right? While you're doing the dishes, to use that time, that 20 minutes, as a way to live in the here and now, as a way to regulate your nervous system, as a way to practice mindfulness. Let's say you don't have much time to spend with your partner because you guys work a lot. Okay, just take 5 minutes and lay down, keep your clothes on. Well, I guess it's optional, but it's not about sex. And just put your hand on each other's chest. Just lay down for 5 minutes. And you don't have to talk, you just have to be with each other. Trust that the bodies will regulate each other, right? Trust that. If you want to have a conversation, sure, do it. But there's something about the silence and sitting in silence. My partner and I sometimes would meditate together for like 10 minutes and we would just hold each other's hand, you know? And there's something very, it produces like a connective tissue, which I think is nice. And so I think even things like that, they go a long way. When you're with your child, it's so easy when you're with your child to think, oh, fuck, there's so much I have to do. I have to entertain my child. And it kind of becomes like you not being present because it's so funny as a parent where once you get your child to school or when the sitter comes or wherever, there's this relief because now you could go do all the things that you need to get done, right? But then when your child's asleep, you miss your child and you're looking at pictures of your child. Then your child wakes up and you're doing everything you can to get them back into school. I tried to really, and I struggle with this. Listen, I'm not saying I'm good at it, but when I'm with my child, I try to be as present as I can, using the relationship and also those moments as a way to be in the here and now, right? And of course, I want to do that because my dad wasn't present and all of that, right? I have my reasons, personal reasons, but I'm also using that relationship and that time to exercise this, to thread the here and now into my life because it's going to make me a sharper radar. Because this state, as I said in the beginning, is going to get you to shape your life, to choose your life instead of chasing it. Right? It's also good, obviously, for the child. Um, there's going to be relationship glue produced because you are present. And that glue is obviously more potent when you are present. If you're single and you're dating, on the date, instead of being in your head wondering if this is the right one or if you're wasting your time or, running through your checklist, just try to be present. Just start with here and now and use that as an exercise. So use dating as kind of the vehicle or the exercise, whether it's 30 minutes or, you guys are whatever you're doing. Um, Instead of trying to find love, which actually can be aligned with desperation and put you into a chasing state, instead of like running a black light on your date, just try to be present and just try to hear a story and engage. And if you're not attracted to this person, okay, but you could practice presence. I don't do it anymore because I lost my motorcycle in the fire, and I haven't been called to like get on a bike again. But I used to ride my motorcycle pretty much every day, and so the way that I would multitask was when I was on my bike, I was by default present. Naturally, I'm very present on my bike. And so for 20 minutes a day, actually 40, because it was 20 minutes to the gym, 20 minutes back, I knew I was going to get in that meditation. So my motorcycle was actually my meditation machine. So 5 days a week, 40 minutes a day, I knew if I took the motorcycle instead of the car, I'd be practicing presence, right? So that's a great example of threading into your life. Now, if I take the car, yeah, chances are music, podcast, catching up on phone calls, or just driving, but in my head, definitely not present. When we drive, we're kind of on autopilot, right? Unless you're driving something fun, unless you're driving something with no top or, whatever. But that's why the motorcycle worked for me. Now that that kind of like chapter of my life is over, and I don't have a motorcycle, I need to think of something else. And I think what it's going to be is something related to the ocean, surfing, bodyboarding, something in the ocean where I'm able to get out of my head and do something somatic. And also, we're going to be living really close to the beach, so it can be a ritual, right? Watching a sunset can be a way to thread this into your life, and also going for a walk, right? Going for a hike. Also, on the other extreme, a hard 2-hour fucking workout that puts you on your back, that can also be extreme a space for presence, you know? A lot of people find it's like that runner's high when you run and you get to a point maybe 7 minutes in where you actually you're like floating, you could do this forever, that feeling. A lot of people hit that kind of flow state, the runner's high, when they are, doing some kind of fitness. Creativity. If you create space for creativity, you will lose track of time. You will be very present. And while you're present, you are practicing and threading in this practice in your life, right? As long as you're not judging what you're creating. Because once you start judging, now you're not present. Now you're logical. You got the checklist. So being curious, being present, starting with what is honest, and um, making that a non-negotiable in your life. Making that a non-negotiable. So listen, if you are not doing any of this, maybe this episode was meant to fall in your ear, so you can say, "Oh, you know what? I'm actually going to practice some of this," and you could just take baby steps. You could do 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Um, I'm not saying going. I'm not saying go out and buy a motorcycle, but like whatever it is that you're doing during the day, see if you could thread in. You could be very creative about it. You could thread in the practice of living in the here and now. You're literally going to change your brain. Thank you for listening. Be well.